Hi, gang. Hi, everybody. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Depending on what part of the country you're in, should be pretty nice. 2 rain spots, so I'm mindful of those. The Saturday poll question. The poll question today at Smerconish.com, worded very deliberately by yours truly. Was the election of Pope Leo XIV, American, a deliberate choice meant to contrast with President Donald Trump? We'll talk more about that in a moment, but let me thank my friends at Parks Casino, just outside of Philadelphia, accessible wherever you are in the northeastern United States, a great mingling opportunity with some live entertainment. Who's upcoming in the Excite Center? How about May 30, country artist Ashley McBryde? June 6th, the sounds of Taj Mahal and Kebmo. July 3rd, Gary Clark Jr. July 12, comedian Mark Norman. July 18, KC and the Sunshine Band. September 6th, UB40. I'm still thinking of dusting off my late 1980s look when I would listen to UB40 on a cassette in my used, highly mileaged Audi, but a fun car nonetheless. Comedian Russell Peters is coming. Australian Pink Floyd. Everybody loves it. And then Bill Murray and Blood Brothers for one night only. Comedian Brian Regan. Dinner at Chicky and Pete's. A lot of good grub. And, of course, all of the gambling that you'd ever want. You've got to be parkscasino.com for all your tickets. You've got to be 21 or older. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. So I'm really excited about today's poll question. It does require a little bit of explanation, but not to you, this sophisticated audience of ours. But of course, with the surprise election of now Pope Leo XIV, everybody wants to know, who is he and how did this happen? Because those who are most dialed in said, well, it'll never be an American. It'll never be an American. Why? Because the perception is there's already this great concentration of power in the United States of America. And why would we give them the church too, in a nutshell? So now you look more deeply at Cardinal Robert Pvost, Villanova class of 1977. That is just wild. By the way, last night online, I recommend this to you. Online last night, I found a video of 2016. I'm trying to think, was it 2016? It was 14. I think it was 2014. It was at a time when Joe Biden was vice president and Jill Biden was second lady. And Jill Biden is speaking at the podium at Villanova, and the tight camera shot that I saw, I'm trying to think of where did I see it, maybe on TikTok, but you only see Pvost and Jill Biden. And you can see very clearly all of his facial expressions while she's speaking. He was getting an honorary degree. And, someone with a more trained eye, like our profiler or our body language expert, could look at that and probably tell you a lot about what his thinking might be on American politics. But so too his social media account. I'm holding in my hand an NBC story that says the new Pope's honor was quickly dissected just minutes after he was elected the next head of the Catholic Church. Before he became Pope Leo XIV, Cardinal Robert Pvost occasionally posted on social media, including some messages that appeared to be critical of President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance and their worldview. So, for example, his most recent activity on X came in mid-April when he shared a post. He's a reposter, not a lot of original content that I have seen. He shared a post on his account from a Catholic commentator who called out Trump and El Salvador President Nayib Bukele for laughing about the deportation of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. We've spent so much time talking about that case. The post linked to an article published by the Catholic Standard newspaper in which a bishop asked of Catholics about Abrego Garcia, "Is your conscience not disturbed? How can you stay quiet?" So, very decidedly on the side of Abrego Garcia and migrants generally. Just one example. In February, Pvost posted links to stories that were critical of Vance, including one from the National Catholic Reporter. Pvost repeated the headline on X, "J.D. Vance is wrong. Jesus doesn't ask us to rank our love for others." In the article, the writer rebutted Vance's claim in a Fox News interview that Christians prioritize loving people close to them before those from other countries. Let me see if I can give you another example of this. Other reposts from the Cardinal's X account have suggested he supports protecting immigrants, reducing gun violence, and combating climate change. Here's something interesting. A day after the Las Vegas shooting in October of 2017, I was within the last 6 months in that same hotel, worst mass shooting in American history. Do you remember? There was a country music festival across Las Vegas Boulevard, and a guy just opens fire. They had no way of stopping him. The day after that shooting, Pvost shared a post from Senator Chris Murphy. Murphy must be ecstatic to know that it's a sad subject area, but to know that the Pope, the now Pope, retweeted him. What did Murphy say? "To my colleagues, your cowardice to act cannot be whitewashed by thoughts and prayers. None of this ends unless we do something to stop it." You get a feel for where he's coming from? So, he's very pro-life and does not seem as enlightened on LGBTQ plus issues as progressives would like. So there's that for the Trump administration, but he's been a critic of this administration. So here comes the theory, and hence the poll question. Everybody's saying, wow, an American was selected, even though I correctly noted there was significance. I said on radio, I came on the day after he appeared on the balcony at the Vatican, and I said, I find very significant that he spoke no English, that he spoke Italian, and that he spoke Spanish, but that he spoke no English. Because you would think as a proud American, okay, I get it. You're in Rome and you've spent your adult life largely in Peru. I get it. Italian, Spanish, but wouldn't you think there'd be a little homage to your native land? And there wasn't. So I'm putting all of this together. I'm doing the weave. What does it tell you, Michael? It tells me that he very much wants to be regarded as a pope of the world, not an American pope. That's observation number one. And observation number two is that maybe it's not that, all right, we're going to take this guy even though he's an American. I'm talking about the conclave now. Maybe it wasn't a liability that he's an American. Maybe it was an asset. And maybe it was an asset because he's so unlike another American. Yes, President Donald Trump. There's a story that'll be in the newsletter today, when the newsletter comes out in a couple of minutes' time. Here's this headline from the New York Times. An American Pope emerges as potential contrast to Trump on the world stage. And many of the themes that I've already shared with you are contained in this piece, including a dissection of his social media. There are indications that the first American pontiff disapproves of some of Trump's hardline stances. A social media account under his name has reported messages critical of the president's positions on issues including immigration, gun control, and climate change. And that goes on to repeat, the J.D. Vance information that I already shared with you. In terms of what the Trump White House will like, quote, Trump and his supporters have also found aspects of the new pope's background that excite them, including ardent anti-abortion advocacy and his opposition to a government plan in Peru to add teachings on gender in school. He opposed that. Okay, and then toward the very end of the story, this is what I find most relevant and was my inspiration for the poll question, although it came to me before I read this in the New York Times. It came to me at family dinner eating pizza. The Cardinal's selection of an American pope defied the prevailing belief that the church would not choose a leader from the global superpower. In the days leading up to the conclave, Catholic commentators speculated that Mr. Trump's disruption of the global political and economic order made a US-born pope even more unlikely. And then some analysts have posited that the Cardinals selected Pope Leo precisely because of Mr. Trump. The president agitated many Catholics, even some of his allies, when he posed as an AI-generated image of himself dressed as the Pope after Pope Francis died. Where is that? I think I have that handy. Remember that? And then the Times story concludes with the president, this is a quote, the president might well be right to claim credit for the selection, at least in part, given the photo he posted on social media, said Rocco Palmo, a Catholic Church analyst. The choice of Leo is the Cardinal's way of saying, this is our process, and we decide what is Catholic, not the White House. Was the selection, this may have been a better way to word it, son of a gun. Was the selection, I'm at least going to write this down. This is the way the sausage gets made. Was the selection of Leo a rebuke of Donald Trump? That's what I'm asking in the poll question. Yeah, it's not like, we'll take him to Spidey's in America. No. We've got an American we can rally around because he's the antithesis of Trump, as evidenced in his social media postings. That's the poll question today. I think it's a winner. I think it is a real winner. All right, my friends, happy Mother's Day. Like and subscribe. Make sure that you are subscribed and set up for notifications as well. We passed 60,000. It is on to 75,000 YouTube subscribers. And please go vote at Smerconish.com. You now have the whole benefit of my thinking. This is, somebody showing me a little love. Okay, appreciate it. Thank you. Look at that, some hearts flying my way. All right. Yeah, you now have the benefit. Thank you, Falcon Steph. You now have the benefit of all of my thinking in terms of what went into today's poll question. I'm not opening with this. I'm opening with a commentary about what I talked about on radio this week about the skilled trades versus college. I love that subject. I just love that subject. And the calls were great. The guests were great this week on radio. Some really great mingling information was dispensed. So it's all good. All right, Derek Devon, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. Ken Mintz, a big heart to you as well. I don't understand Sean Nichols' quote, but okay. Jamal, make it a great day. Stay safe. Hug the ones you love. Thank you, Jamal. That's a nice message as well. Look at that. Stephen Smith, although I don't see an A as a middle initial. Do people say to you like, hey, are you Stephen A. Smith? Yeah, to my mother and to my wife for sure. Okay, I better stay focused. I could get so caught up in the chat, but I love the chat and I love that you come here and that you mingle with one another every day. Go vote. I'll see you soon.